Hello mga kaguro! Please allow me to share with you the complete MOBs for IPCRF portfolio for Teacher 1 to 3 with sample template, with sample MOBs, and with sample annotations. If this video is helpful to you, please like it and subscribe to my channel. This is the cover page of my IPCRF RPMS portfolio. This is the first part of the table of contents. And this is the second part of the table of contents. Let's go first to the KRA1 Objective 1. For Objective 1, we need 2 COT rating sheets or Inter-Observer Agreement Forms. COT Rating Sheet 1, COT Rating Sheet 2. Objective 1 in both COTs are highlighted. Next is KRA1 Objective 2. For Objective 2, you need 2 supplementary materials that you made and used in the delivery of your lesson that highlight the positive use of ICT to facilitate the teaching and learning process. You may use activity sheets, one lesson from SLM, lesson plan, video lesson, audio lesson, or other learning materials in print or digital format, and then you have to provide annotation. To get 5, you have to ensure that the ICT used will define and transform learning experiences and are documented properly and consistently using any referencing style as shown in the submitted learning material. The learning materials are able to create new kinds of learning experiences that were not possible before. For example, using social networking sites to engage with other students from other corners of the globe. To get 4, you have to ensure that the ICT used augment and enrich learning experiences and are documented properly and consistently using any referencing style as shown in the submitted learning material. ICT used augment and enrich learning experiences. It means that the use of the tool provides value-added experience. For example, using Google Jamboard that makes discussion interactive. To get 3, ensure that the ICT used modify processes and improve learning experiences. The use of ICT improves processes to increase productivity. For example, using Google Docs for real-time collaboration in group activities. You'll get 2 if the ICT are used but do not create a new learning experience. For MOB1, teacher-made material used in the delivery of the lesson via YouTube. For MOB2, teacher-made activity sheet used in the delivery of the lesson via quizzes. KRA1 Objective 3. For this objective, you need 2 supplementary materials that you made and used in the delivery of the lesson that highlight teaching strategies to develop critical and creative thinking, as well as other higher-order thinking skills. You may use any of the following. You may also use other learning materials, but then you have to ensure that you have to provide annotations. To get 5, you have to apply teaching strategies that challenge learners to draw conclusions and justify their thinking, or put parts together to promote deeper understanding of ideas learned. 4, if the teaching strategies require learners to make connections using ideas learned. 3, if the teaching strategies require learners to describe and explain ideas learned. 2, if the teaching strategies lead learners along a single path of inquiry and or to simple recall and Ross memorization. This is my MOB1. MOB2, KRA2, Objective 4. For this objective, You need 2 supplementary materials that you made and use in the delivery of the lesson that highlight teaching strategies that are responsive to learners' linguistic, cultural, socioeconomic, or religious backgrounds. You may use activity sheet, one lesson from SLM, lesson plan, video lesson, audio lesson, or other learning materials in print or digital format. Just provide annotations. To get 5, you have to utilize effective and appropriate teaching strategies at individual level. 4, if you utilized effective and appropriate teaching strategies at group level. 3, if you utilized one effective teaching strategy. 2, if you utilize teaching strategy or strategies that partially respond to learners' linguistic, cultural, socioeconomic, or religious backgrounds as shown in the submitted learning material. MOB1, MOB2, KRA2, Objective 5. For this objective, you need 2 COT rating sheets or inter-observer agreement forms. COT rating sheet 1, COT rating sheet 2. Objective 2 in both COTs are highlighted. KRA2, Objective 6. For this objective, you need evidence that highlights providing accurate and constructive feedback to improve learner performance and that shows timeliness of feedback given to activity sheet, performance tasks, quiz or tests, self-learning module. To get 5, provide learners with accurate and specific and directed constructive feedback. When you say directed constructive feedback, it means that you give specific direction on how to make improvements. To get 4, provide learners with accurate and specific constructive feedback. Specific constructive feedback points out a specific issue in a learner's performance or output. You'll get 3 if you provide learners with accurate and general constructive feedback. General constructive feedback points out what is commonly observed among learners' performance or output and is addressed to the class in general. You'll get 2 if you provide learners with inaccurate and or destructive feedback. For timeliness, you'll get 5 if MOB submitted shows feedback given within 5 working days from submission. 4 if MOB submitted shows feedback given within 6 to 10 working days from submission. 3 if MOB submitted shows feedback given within 11 to 20 working days from submission. And 2 if MOB submitted shows feedback given beyond 20 working days from submission. Note, all MOBs for this objective must contain date stamps to keep track of submission of learner's output or performance and of the learner's receipt of teacher's feedback. This student's performance task sent on May 6, 2021 at 5:16 p.m. This is my directed constructive feedback given on the same date at 9:26 p.m. This is the second MOV, KRA3 Objective 7. For this objective, you need 2 COT rating sheets or inter-observer agreement forms. COT rating sheet 1, COT rating sheet 2. Objective 3 in both COTs are highlighted. KRA3 Objective 8. For this objective, you need one lesson plan or one lesson from SLM with achievable and appropriate learning outcomes that are aligned with the learning competencies as shown in lecture or discussion, activity or activity sheet, performance task, or rubric. You'll get 5 if all of the learning outcomes set are aligned with the learning competencies. 4 if majority of the learning outcome set are aligned with the learning competencies. 3 if half of the learning outcome set are aligned with the learning competencies. 2. If less than half of the learning outcome set are aligned with the learning competencies. This is my WHLP. KRA4, Objective 9. For this objective, you may show proof of participation in any activity for improved access to education, such as distribution of learning materials to learners or parents. Brigada Escuela, for example, commitment form to stakeholders, developed advocacy materials, certificate of participation that involves parents or stakeholders' engagement signed by the school head. Home visitation. You may include others, specify it, and provide annotations. You may also use parent-teacher lag or proof of other stakeholders meeting. For example, one-on-one parent-teacher-learner conference lag, attendance sheet with minutes of online or face-to-face meeting, proof of involvement in the learner's or parent's orientation, and so on. You may also indicate any form of communication to parents or stakeholders. For example, notice of meeting, screenshot of chat or text message, communication with parent or guardian. Don't forget to blur their names or pictures to protect their privacy. Digital or printed copy of learner enrollment survey form signed by the ICT coordinator or focal person and school head. You get 5 if your MOB sustained engagement with parents or guardians and or wider school community to facilitate involvement in the educative process as evidenced by 2 or more of MOB number 1 or 2. 4. If there is secured collaboration with parents or guardians and or wider school community to facilitate involvement in the educative process as evidenced by 1 MOB number 1 or 2. 3. If you communicated with and obtained response from parents or guardians and or wider school community to facilitate involvement in the educative process as evidenced by MOB number 3. 2. If you communicated with parents or guardians and or wider school community to facilitate involvement in the educative process but received no response or reply as evidenced by MOB number 3. For efficiency, you will get 5 if you submit any 4 of the acceptable MOBs. 4 if you submit 3 of the acceptable MOBs. 3 if you submit only 2, and you will get 2 if you submit only 1 acceptable MOB. MOBs 1 to 3, 4, 5. Another MOB, KRA4, Objective 10. For Objective 10, you may include Certificate of Completion in a course or training, Certificate of Participation in a webinar, retooling, upskilling, and other training, seminar, or workshop with proof of implementation, Certificate of Recognition or Speakership in a webinar, retooling, upskilling, and other training, seminar, or workshop, any proof of participation to a benchmarking activity, any proof of participation in school LAC sessions. Others, please specify and provide annotations. For quality, you will get 5 if you participated in any professional network or activity that requires output and proof of implementation within the school. 4 if you participated in any professional network or activity that requires output and proof of implementation within the department or grade level. 3 if you participated in any professional network or activity that requires output. 2. If you participated in any professional network or activity that does not require output. For efficiency, please refer here. MOB1, MOB2, MOB3, MOB4, KRA4, Objective 11. For Objective 11, Your main MOB is your IPCRF DP. Supporting MOB, any document aligned with the IPCRF DP, such as reflections of one's practice during LAC sessions with proof of attendance, reflection or personal notes on coaching and mentoring and/or mid-year review, personal notes journal on division or school-led inset with proof of attendance, certificate of enrollment, registration form, class card in graduate or postgraduate school, or online courses. Any learning material highlighting the improvement done based on accomplished reflection section. Others, please specify and provide annotations. For quality, please refer here. For efficiency, please refer here. Main MOB, supporting MOB1, supporting MOB2, supporting MOB3, supporting MOV4, KRA5 Objective 12. For Objective 12, you may include committee involvement, advisorship of co-curricular activities, involvement as module or learning material writer, involvement as module or learning material validator, participation in the RO, SDO, or school-initiated TV or radio-based instruction, book or journal authorship, coordinatorship or chairpersonship, coaching and mentoring learners in competitions, mentoring pre-service teachers, participation in demonstration teaching, participation as research presenter in a forum or conference. Others, please specify and provide annotations. For quality, please refer here. For efficiency, please refer here. MOB1, MOB2, MOB3, MOB4, MOB5. Thank you so much for watching.